Hi, it's me again with CorelDraw Tips and Tricks, part 4 of this. Wasn't planning on making a 4, but somebody asked me how I made this shape. I didn't make it this way, but I'm going to show you. This might be easier for a lot of people. I went to the internet and I got a infinity sign and I brought it into Corel. And as you can see, it's a bitmap because the bounding box, gray bounding box. I'm going to go ahead and it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And see, you can see it's quite a bit different. But we need to trace it and get into a vector format. So I'm going to go trace bitmap, outline, trace clip art. Does it really fast. Say, okay, you've got a vector now, and take that one away. And you can see the difference by the bounding box, but there's still white in it because it's got the center of white. So we're going to go to object, order, back a page. Real easy to get rid of. Just click on it, go up to object, group and ungroup it, and just click on the white and just hit delete. Now, I am going to left click, right click. So we only need to really change, and I've changed it quite a bit, maybe too much. We only need to change this stroke here and make it thinner. So a couple things, there's several ways you can probably do it. I'm going to get the 3-point line and I'm going to, well, first of all, I'm going to do, look how it's got a lot of nodes. So I'm going to take my shape tool, select it all, and I'm going to type in 20. Got rid of a lot of nodes. That's a big deal. It's going to be a lot smoother. I'm going to get my 3-point line, curve line, and I'm going to go from there and just give it a little bit of a curve. Maybe that's too much, but get the idea. Now, I'm going to get my 2-point line, and I'm just going to swipe through there and there. Doesn't really matter where. And I am going to make a duplicate of this, hitting the plus key on the keyboard. And then I'm going to smart fill that new section and move it over. This is all we need to adjust. So we take it and left click, right click, and all we need to do is make it thinner. Several ways you can do it. Probably the easiest is to start grabbing. Don't grab the nodes like that. Grab the nodes. Try to get 2 at a time right there. Now, here's a good little trick. Grab those and you get that one. You can shift select it and unselect it. Well, you should be able to. Tell you what, just shift select those 2 and then move them over. We got a little bit of work to do. That's because that's pretty rough. Then let's just move this over, move this over just a little bit because it's, and play with your nodes. Turn this one to a cusp. So right click, turn it into a cusp. By doing that, you're not going to change this factor. You're just going to change this one. And that's not too bad, but we got a lot of, let me try to delete that node. Yep, that worked. Try to delete that node. In this case, this is going to work. Now just bring in that one node a little bit thinner, bring in this a little thinner. Now we've changed the ends quite a bit. Let's see if we can't delete that node. And then get back to your tool, and I think I've got it too thin in the middle. It's really, to me, it's hard sometimes to move nodes just minutely. So just remember that you got set on 3 inches. Let's set on 0.01. And if you will grab with your shape tool, you can hit the left arrow key and just barely move it a little bit. I'm going to try to delete these 2 nodes and see what happens. Nope, didn't work. So it's good enough. We can straighten that up in just a second. Now, I've manipulated a little bit, but not too bad. And I could actually do this later, but I'm going to bring in my smoothing tool. And I'm just going to smooth it out a little bit. Give it a more natural curve. Now, if you remember, we made a copy of this. And I really want the whole thing. Well, just take the Smart Fill tool and fill in the other side and move it over. Okay, I moved it, but I moved it back because I need to set my nudge factor back to 3 inches. And then move that over, fill this in and move it over. Now this is going to be short up here because we moved it. That doesn't matter. Select them all and left click, right click. And then all you have to do is just move these nodes, get back to the shape tool, grab these 2 nodes and see I got all 3 of them. So you could shift select both of them, hold down the shift key, and then move this over. Try to stay within line of the other one. And then just take your virtual segment delete key and delete that. And then we need to work on the ends. And then if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2 and part 3, you really need to watch it because it's, I'm getting you to this point. Now that's pretty rough, but we're going to fix it. We're a little bit off here, so just bring this node in, bring this in, and take your virtual segment delete key. And once again, we're off pretty much. But I didn't have to cut that out, that line. I can just take the Smart Fill tool and make a new one. Now left click, right click, and now get back to the smoothing tool. I've actually got it a little bit big. Let's make it 1 inch. And let's smooth this out. You don't want too big because then you start distorting other things. Now that looks pretty bad right there, but it's going to all kind of figure out. Whoop, I went too far. I smoothed out. You don't want to get near that cross because those want to be perfect. So that's how I did it. Now I didn't, well, take it back. I didn't do it that way. I started with a circle and 2 circles and a big circle and a little circle and crossed it. But I think this will be probably easier for most folks. And then just do what I did in the other video, and I'm just going to show that real quick. We need to separate this line out, and I'm a little bit off, and not too bad. I'm just going to take a 2-point line this time, go from there to there, and there to there. And by doing that, and let's go ahead and take a 2-point line there. And now let's take our Smart Fill tool, fill that in, fill that in, and fill that in. So now you have 3 different facets, and we can do what we did before. I'm going to actually make them blue, and then make a duplicate of that. So I'm kind of I'm going back over. So we've got this part. I'm going back over like part 1 or part 2. Let me zoom in. So you need that second copy to put underneath it, because we want this to look like it's going behind that. And you don't want this blue way down here because you want to save a lot of blue when they connect. I'm actually going to kind of leave it dark, then grab that part. So the other parts are, we'll show you how to do this. I'm kind of overkilling. Just don't get up in here. I'm going to call that good. Now, if we look, take our pick tool and move it over. Okay, let's move it back. Let's select all this and go to Object, Order, Back a Page. And then when we put these on top, they'll be on the front. So it appears. Now, one thing I did not do, and I'm glad I'm kind of finished it, because this will be the same thing. Let's just take this one that we've almost finished. And to get that circle smaller, maybe the way I did it before would be better, but I think this will work just as good. Go to Object and Perspective, add Perspective. And then you could bring this in and make that bottom letter quite a bit. Now we've kind of did this to the top, and it's kind of hard to get rid of the Perspective tool. But if you take your Smart Fill tool and make a new shape, then the Perspective tool won't show up. And I'm going to left click, right click, and I need to bring this top down. So I'm just going to grab it and just bring it down, because the perspective tool kind of did that. So then kind of back up and did what, I mean, this is still cool regardless. But the original one had smaller shadows and it looks like it's twisted. Anyway, so I hope that answered the last person's question, and thank you for watching.